We are 6 months into 2026, and I want to ask you something. How are your finances? How are you affording everything? And are you on track with your money goals? The first half of this year has been a lot. And if you have kids, it's been a lot in a very specific way. The next one, a big moment for someone who grew up in New Jersey. The World Cup is everywhere. It's on at every restaurant. Every group chat is talking about it. SpaceX went public. These are big, loud, and exciting cultural moments. And if your kid has come home this time around wanting to go to a watch party, wanting the jersey, wanting to feel like they're part of what everyone at camp or school is talking about, I want you to know that I get it. And hey, it's not just our kids too. Our partners might be talking about wanting to buy SpaceX stock. Maybe they want to spend some real money on a game ticket. And the pressure to go all in as a mom is real. But here's the thing about that pull. It's really about wanting your family to feel included. Saying yes feels like love and feels like belonging. And saying no can feel like you're the reason you're missing out. That's not really a financial feeling. That's a parenting feeling that happens to have a very big price tag attached to it. And sitting underneath all of that excitement is something not so exciting. Inflation. It didn't just adjust and correct. It repriced everyday life and stayed there. Groceries are not going back to what they were. Gas is fluctuating constantly. And if you're a family planning any kind of summer travel, that's the actual trip getting more expensive while you're still planning it. And unfortunately, the policy environment right now isn't making things easier for everyday American families. That's the reality. But I don't want to spend the entire video dwelling on what we can't control. Instead, we are going to focus on how we take action. If you watched my last video, Deinfluencing Summer Must-Haves, this is kind of the part 2 to that. That video was about the trendy stuff, the must-have gadget, the summer aesthetic, the thing everyone said you needed for the summer. Saying no to those is one kind of hard, but saying no to something your kid actually wants, the trip, the camp, the season pass, the thing their friends are all doing, that's different. It's a heavier kind of hard. That video gave a lot of you permission to skip the must-have. This video is about reinforcing what matters most for the long term. It's mid-June and you're here, which means some part of you already knows it's time to look at the numbers and figure out what this summer can actually hold for your family and your money. And if you're not a mom, but you're the one in your household who carries this, who manages the social calendar, who feels responsible for making things special, this video is for you too. Thanks for joining me here today at Sisters for Financial Independence. I'm Catherine Agapjan, creator of the Secure First Money Method, where doing money in the right order matters. I'm not here to squash the fun. I am here to help guide you to make good financial decisions so that when September comes, you can breathe easy and have good memories instead of a mountain of debt to tackle. First up, we are going to do some self-reflection with 3 big questions. Question 1, am I behind? If you're sitting with the feeling that you are behind right now, either financially or honestly behind as a parent, like you should have all of this figured out by now, I want to ask you something. Behind relative to what? The goal you set in January before 3 gas price adjustments and a summer full of things your kids wanted to be part of? Behind relative to the family down the street who seems to be doing the bigger trip, the bigger camp, the bigger everything? Or behind relative to what you're seeing on your social media feed? Here's what I want you to replace that question with. Do I know where I actually am? That's the question that produces useful information. The question, am I behind, produces guilt. It comes from comparison, which is so easy to do now with social media. The question, where am I actually, produces a plan. This check-in is not about judgment as a parent or with your money. It's about information. Question 2, is it even worth trying when everything keeps going up? And I just want my kids to have a good summer. Yes, and here's specifically why. The Secure First Money Method I created exists because financial stability isn't something that happens to you. It's something that protects you no matter what happens. You cannot control gas prices. You cannot control what camp tuition does next year. You cannot control what happens at the White House. What you can control is whether you have a foundation underneath your family when those costs land. That foundation is critical now and for the long term. The moms and families who got through the first half of this year with the least stress weren't the ones with the highest incomes. They were the ones with the simplest systems. They knew where their money was. Their fixed expenses were on auto pay, and they had a clear picture of what's available for them for the summer, and a cushion that absorbed gas spikes or the unexpected expense without turning it into a crisis. That is not luck. That's planning, and that's stages 1 through 3 doing exactly what they're built to do, protecting your family's ability to say yes to things for the long term. Question 3. How do I hold the line when my kid is disappointed or when it feels like every other family is doing the bigger thing? To be honest, this is a hard one, and I want to sit with it for a second because I don't think saying no and moving on is honest about how this actually feels. Holding the line when your kid is disappointed has nothing to do with willpower. It has to do with whether you've decided ahead of time what this summer means for you. So when that moment comes, it's a choice you actually made, not a reaction to guilt in real time. Saying no to a purchase or a trip or to a bigger version of something is not saying no to your family's joy. Your kids don't need every cultural moment. They need to feel like their family is steady and secure. That steadiness, knowing that yes actually means a yes and that the bills still get paid, that a no this summer doesn't mean a no forever, is actually what makes kids feel secure. More than the jersey, more than the trip, the families who get to keep saying yes to things over the years are the families who protected the foundation underneath it all. When you say yes to long term, you say no to a lot of short term wants and needs. That's the key here. It doesn't make you a bad parent or a party pooper. It's you prioritizing the long term financial stability of your household. Here is your mid-year check-in list. 6 questions. So get out a piece of paper or open a notes app and answer honestly. Check-in question 1. Are my basic expenses reliably covered right now without moving money around? Rent, mortgage, utilities, food, minimum debt payments. Not can I cover them eventually, right now, this month, without you transferring between accounts at the last minute or hoping a payment clears. Answer yes or no. If the answer is a no, or it's a complicated yes, you are in stage 1 secure territory. That is not a setback. That's your starting point for the second half of the year. Everything else waits until this is solid. Check-in question 2. Do I know my actual cash flow right now? Not approximately, not an estimate, not I think I make about X dollars. What actually came in last month, what went out, what was left. If you can't say that number without logging on to multiple apps and doing mental math, you don't have visibility yet. And without visibility into your money and your expenses, the second half will feel as confusing. This is the core of stage 1 in the Secure First Money Method. Cash flow is not a budgeting concept. It's a foundational concept. You build everything on top of it. So you need to know exactly how much is coming in and how much is going out. Check-in question 3. Is my financial system simple enough that I didn't have to think about it as much in the first half of this year? And here's what I mean by this. When the end of the year celebrations started happening, the watch parties, the graduation, the hangouts, did your fixed expenses still run on auto pay without any action from you? When gas prices spiked, did you know immediately what that meant for your monthly expenses? Or did it add to the general fog of financial uncertainty that you've been half aware of all year? If your money felt messy in the first half of the year and it took every ounce of effort to figure out what was coming in, what needed to be spent, you need a simpler system. And this is where stage 2 in the Secure First Money Method comes in. It's called Simplify, and it's about simplifying your money system so that you are not making decisions every single day. Check-in question number 4. Do I have at least $500 set aside that I didn't touch in the first half of the year? 500 is the floor of stage 3 strengthen, not the goal, but the floor. In the Secure First framework, I call this your no fund because it's the money that gives you the power to say no. No to the unexpected expense, no to the toxic situation, and no to the financial crisis that would have otherwise sent you backward. If you have it and you didn't touch it in the first half of this year, despite everything else that's happened, that's the no fund doing exactly its job. If you don't have it yet, that's your signal to focus on it for the next 90 days. Not investing, not aggressively paying down debt by putting $500 untouched. That's your next move. Now, the no fund protects you from crisis. But what about the other side? What about the things your family wants to say yes to? The trip, the camp, the tickets to the game, that thing that comes up that you actually want to be able to afford without a second thought. This is where the pay yourself first method comes in. The idea is simple. You set up an automatic transfer the same day your paycheck lands into a separate savings account. Before the bills, before the spending, before you have a chance to think about that money. That money is gone from your checking account before it ever becomes available in your mind. Here's why this matters so much, especially for moms like you and I. You are not relying on willpower at the end of the month to have anything left over. You're not deciding in the moment whether you can afford to say yes to your kid. You already decided months ago on autopilot that this money was not going to be spent on anything else. It's already been set aside for exactly this kind of yes. That's a peace of mind in this. It's not about having more money. It's about not having to think about it in the moment. Start small if you need to. Even $25 or $50 a paycheck into a separate account, automated, untouched. This is stage 2, simplify in action. It is one less decision you make in the moment because you made the decision early and the system is continuing to do the job for you. Logistically, you will have one high yield savings account for all of these goals, and you'll have sub goals in them where you will automate those transfers. That way, when the time comes, you can say yes without guilt and without worrying about the money. Check-in question 5. What is the one thing I kept telling myself I'd deal with and didn't? Every person watching this video has one. It could be the old account they haven't closed. It could be that subscription that they haven't been using but have not yet canceled. It could be the student loan that they haven't logged into. And it could be the credit card balance they've been making minimum payments on without a plan. And if you're a mom, it might be something tied to the kids specifically. The $529 you haven't looked at since you opened it. The camp deposit you said yes without checking what it actually does to the monthly expenses. Or it could be the back to school costs that are already looming in August that you're not thinking about because summer isn't over yet. Name that one thing, write it down, and then have a plan in place to tackle that one thing. Now, this thing doesn't have to be the biggest, highest stakes financial item, but because you've been carrying it around for so long, occupying your mental state and energy, resolving it now will allow you the space to breathe and the space for you to think about other things. And the last question, and the big one, what did I actually say I wanted to do with my money this year, and have I checked it since January? Here's the reality. Many of us make a lot of resolutions at the beginning of the year. We have high hopes, then life gets busy and we stop thinking about the larger money goals that we might have. Back in January, a lot of you set a number. Maybe it was to save $5,000. Maybe it was to pay off a specific credit card. Maybe it was to build up a down payment fund. And then life happened. So here's the question. Did you set a specific savings goal or a specific debt payoff goal this year? And if you did, when is the last time you actually checked your progress against it? If it's been months, that's okay. That's exactly what this question is for. And here is how you are going to recalibrate. And it's the same automation principle we just talked about with Pay Yourself First, applied to a very specific target instead of an open-ended savings cushion. Take your goal. Subtract whatever you've already saved or already paid off. That is what's left. Now divide that remaining amount by the number of months left in the year. From today through December, that number is what needs to move automatically every single month for the rest of the year for you to actually hit the goal you set back in January. Let's say you wanted to save $6,000 and you've already saved $1,500. Now you have $4,500 left to save for. Divide that by 6 months, and that means $750 a month you'll need to save until the end of the year to reach your goal. Set that exact number up as an automatic transfer the same way we talked about with Pay Yourself First. If it's a savings goal, automate the transfer into that account. If it's a debt payoff goal, automate that extra payment on top of the minimum. Either way, the number runs in the background every month, whether you remember to think about it or not. And if the number that comes out of the math feels impossible right now, given everything we've talked about this year, that's real information too. It might mean that the original goal needs to change or shrink, or the timeline needs to extend into the next year. That is not failure. That's adjusting a plan based on real data instead of pretending the plan from January still fits a year that turned out differently than you expected. If you answered yes to all 6 of those questions, you are not behind. You're exactly where the framework says you should be. The second half of the year is about building on what's working. So go deeper into stage 3 or start thinking about stage 4. If you answered no to one or two, you know exactly where to focus. The check-in just gave you your priority. Don't try to fix everything. Fix the one your answers pointed to. If you answered no to most of them, remember, you are not behind. You are starting from here in June with 6 months of the year still ahead of you. That is enough time to change your trajectory if you start with stage 1 and go in order. And specifically on question 6, if your January goal needs to shrink or shift, do that recalculation this week, not eventually. A goal you've quietly stopped tracking isn't a goal anymore. It's just a number that makes you feel bad when you remember it exists. Either commit to the new automated number or consciously reset the goal. Both are fine. And here's something I think about a lot at this point in the year. In so many sports, the ones we've all been watching this summer, the second half is where the game is actually won. Teams that are down at halftime come back. Teams that look comfortable in the lead lose it if they coast. Halftime isn't the verdict. It's just information about how the first half went and a chance to adjust before the half that actually decides things. Your first half of 2026 is exactly that. Halftime. What you do in the next 6 months is the half that counts. If you're not sure what stage you are in the Secure First Money Method, the stage quiz can help you. It takes 2 minutes and gives you a specific answer with a specific next step. Link is in the description. And wherever this video check-in pointed you to, I have follow-up videos for all of it. Stage 1, secure. Stage 2, simplify. And stage 3, strengthen. There are playlists in this channel and they're all in the description for you to check out. The check-in tells you where you are. The videos show you what to do when you get there. The World Cup is still running. There are more celebrations coming, more things your kids are going to want to be part of. The economic pressure isn't going anywhere tomorrow. None of that is changing in the next 6 months. What can change is whether you go into the back half of this year with your eyes open or closed, and whether the next time your kid asks you for something, your yes or your no comes from a plan instead of guilt. You just open your eyes. That's the move. Everything else follows after that. The second half starts now.